Hello, my name is Joshua DD9000, and welcome to another review. The other package that I got in the mail from eBay is the Hornby Edward. This is the new Hornby Edward. It was released it was released in 2016. However, it was designed in 2015, which is why I kind of leave it in between. You could have pre-ordered it on in 2015, but chances are you probably didn't get it until 2016. I live in the U.S., so pre-order wasn't really much of an option. But let's go ahead and get this thing unboxed, shall we? Now, I forget where this package is from, but I'm sure it's either on the address, but I can't show you the address because I wouldn't want anyone copying down my home address and personal information. I believe this came from modeltoys.com or something. Came off eBay. It was not AJM Railways, but it came from an official website, not some other private seller. So hopefully this Edward doesn't have problems unlike my James, or like my James. Yep, it's Edward, all nice and secure. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. Okay. Let's set that aside, see if there's anything else in here. Yep, this is from Model World, not AJM Railways. And it looks like this is a receipt. Don't need that. It seems like everything's in order. Take one more look at that. Probably not going to keep this. Or this. But here we are. We've got Edward. I'm just going to go on and say that this, just by looking outside the box, this is going to be a fantastic locomotive. I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to get Edward. I was thinking that, college would get in the way, but as it turns out, I had a lot more time and money to spare. It has been a long time since I've unboxed a box like this. I believe the last time I did it was for James. And I do have James with me to compare him with Edward. But looking at the back here, we can see all of the new Thomas & Friends stuff. Of course, it's different than what you see on this box. But it's a new era. And unlike the old Hornby packaging, it doesn't come in polystyrene. Instead, it just comes in a big plastic mold. But at the same time, it's still kind of easy to get open. So what I think I'll do is I'll unbox him from this side. Oh, it's DCC ready. Not 100% sure what that means, but I think it all just goes down to how it runs. There's another plastic tray in here. Got this white shield thing. Sorry, camera's a bit of an angle. Normally I thought they put this up front like this to protect the Loco, but I guess they want you to be able to see it. And here we have Edward, Gordon, and James. I'm pretty sure this is the same thing that we saw when I unboxed my James, because Gordon, Edward, and James have the same bodies. Left the camera. This is sort of what it looks like. I'm not gonna keep this plastic tray thing, but I will keep the box because I want to keep these engines safe and snug, and the best way to do that is if I keep the box. But I'm actually pretty interested. Look at this. There's some black tabs on the top here. And it kind of looks like Edward was wearing a mask. Nope, you can actually see his face. But let's get this Loco out. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. Okay. Woo! Wait a minute. There we go. Oh, beautiful. So glad to have this. It was held with some tabs here, some black tabs here. But yeah, I guess that's just to keep the engine snug and safe. But yeah, here is Edward. Now let's go ahead and give my first impression. Now, I actually want to get into a little bit of a discussion with this locomotive. Now, let me say this. Many people think that the Hornby Edward is a very bad loco. It's one of the Hornby's most hated locomotives. Emily would probably be the first. Edward would probably be the second. Ironic, considering the fact that he's number 2. But people say that he looks nothing like Edward, and that it's a terrible locomotive. But this used to be my view. However, looking at the model carefully and actually choosing to buy it, I'm actually beginning to think that that is quite unfair. And here's why. The Hornby paint job is spot on. The old version did a lot better as well. I mean, take a look at Gordon. Let me bring him up. Oh, I actually have him on the track. The paint job is not correct. But if I move Edward next to him, you can see that there's a big difference. Hornby Thomas had this same issue, the old version of Thomas, but the new version of Gordon actually has the right paint job. So suppose I can't hold that against Hornby. But back to Edward. The paint job is correct, but also the face is amazing. Let me zoom in. You cannot look at that face and say that it does not look like Edward at all. You just can't do it. Now, I don't know specifically what season it's from, but it is a good face. Now, the locomotive is very nicely detailed. And yes, it does not look like anything from the TV series. In fact, it's not really supposed to. In fact, if you want an Edward locomotive that looks exactly like the TV series, then buy the Bachmann, because quite honestly, I think the Bachmann's a very good locomotive. I used to have a Bachmann Edward, and it looks spot on to the TV series. But the Hornby Edward, in fact, does somewhat represent what he looked like, not in the TV series, but in the Railway series. Now, as you can see in front of you, this is a picture of Edward. Looking at the two, he looks somewhat similar. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say the flaws of Edward that probably make people want to hate him. First of all, let me say this. These cylinders are not supposed to be here. The funnel is a little too tall. The wheels are a little too big. And the cab isn't all that correct. But, I mean, let me say this. Hornby did not exactly pick the right body shell. I like the body shell that they picked, but they could have picked a better one for this locomotive. I don't know why they did. Maybe it was to cut down on costs. But, yeah, it's alright. I think this is a pretty decent model, and quite honestly, I don't really see anything wrong with it. It has the black axle boxes painted. Speaking of which, I do have James with me right now. And according to the TV series, Edward and James are supposed to be about the exact same size. But as we can see, there's a difference in height. suppose not too big of a difference in length, but Edward is technically bigger than James, so I suppose you can kind of say that's a flaw, but I'm not really going to hold that against him. Edward's a great locomotive, and I'm very happy to have him. I used to not like Hornby, but it's beginning to grow on me, you know? And, yeah, so, that's basically all I have to say. Oh, and one more thing, actually. The tender is connected. I actually like it better when they're not, because it's just a lot easier to handle. You don't have to worry about wires or connectors or anything. I mean, with Gordon and Henry, all you got to worry about is just hooking the two tenders together and putting the tab and like getting the electric connection correct. If you don't know what I mean, you can always watch my other reviews, but I do like it better when the tender and loco are separate. It is tender driven, by the way, but that doesn't bother me that much. Also, his pony truck is very flimsy. Like, if you look at it, there's a huge gap, like right here. Why is it so flimsy like this? Like, why did Hornby make it like this? I suppose they had to make it like this because the loco body is so big that, you know, they had to make room. The Edward is a very old engine. Over 100 years old, I'm pretty sure. But you know what? I really like him. He's a wise engine, a kind engine. And that's sort of always been his personality. He was the first character to ever be created by the Reverend W. Awdry, so quite honestly, I don't think you can call yourself a Thomas fan without Edward. But I'm gonna do something that I haven't done before. I'm actually gonna take his tender off. Tender shell off. There we go. That's what his body looks like inside the tender. I usually don't do these kind of things, but James has the same thing. Henry's a little different, and if I had the new version of Gordon, it would probably look the same as this as well. But there is a difference. This is probably where you apply the DCC chip. So yeah, just a quick look at that. I'll pop the shell back on. I'm not going to put any chips in there. And we'll go ahead and give Edward first run on the layout. So here we are at the same old layout that I ran my Hornby Toby with. Now as we get Edward onto the tracks. And let's see how well he runs, or hopefully he runs. I think he will. This is brand new after all. I'll try him on a slow speed. Oh yeah. Very good at slow speeds. I'm going to speed him up. Oh yeah. I'll let him go around 2 more times. One thing that I like about these new Hornby engines is that they're very quiet. The older Hornby engines used to be very noisy. Like, I like the new motors and the tenders. Henry and James are quiet, but Gordon is always noisy. But I guess technology is changing. Whoops. Whoa. What's going on here? I need to couple up. Something was up with his rear coupling. Don't know what that was about. There you have it, everyone. This is the 2015/2016 Edward from Hornby. I'm very happy to have this locomotive. Pretty sure I'm going to give it a really good score. Not 100% on what I'll give it, but I will be posting the results in the description, so be sure to look at that. But yeah, that's basically it. This is a very good locomotive, and I highly recommend it. So yeah. I'm going to try it one last time at his full speed. So that's Edward at his full speed. He'd probably be going a little bit faster if he didn't have the coaches. But that's alright. So that concludes our review. This is Joshua DD9000 signing off, saying goodbye. And as always, thank you for watching.